Alrighty, if you're coming in just now, we're playing HeptaCraft. HeptaCraft is a custom extension mod for Legacy of the Void. 7 sub-factions, fairly well balanced too. We're heading into the losers round 3, and this is going to be Scaphism and Apocalypse. And we've watched both of these players, and a Covenant match. This is exciting. We haven't seen nearly as much Covenant in this tournament. So in the upper left, we've got Scaphism as the Peach Covenant. In the bottom right, Apocalypse choosing between Kala and Nerazim. What's he get? He gets Kala. So Kala v Covenant. This is going to be pretty cool. This is another matchup I don't think I've ever seen before, and that's the great thing about 7 sub-factions, and they're all very well fleshed out, too, is that you can have all sorts of different matchups, all sorts of mirror matchups, too, and the mirror matchups are just as fun to watch, in my opinion. Vanilla StarCraft, I think most people don't like mirror matchups, I don't know, but in HeptaCraft, there's a much lower chance of a mirror matchup as well, considering there's 7 races instead of 3, and none of the races really function close together at all. I would argue that the Terran sub-factions, the Protoss sub-factions, the Zerg sub-factions, they function as separately from each other as they do the other races. It's pretty interesting, in my opinion. I mean, if there are 2 races that are close together, it's probably the 2 Terran ones, but other than that, like, the Kala versus the Nerazim factions are so incredibly different. Alrighty, so Scaphism is good old Covenant, and we know that he likes to drop his Anvil and get some fast devotees. This is a very common build for Covenant. Covenant will always use their mothership to move a little bit closer to the enemy base and start warping in those really fast devotees to put on really early pressure, which may even give you an opportunity to win the game outright really fast. It's not likely, but it can work if your opponent is completely unprepared. Alrighty, so we have fast Cyber Core from Apocalypse before his expansion. Can he get a probe through here? I think so. He might be able to get a probe through there to take his expansion. Otherwise, he's stuck in his base. Alrighty, so no fast expansion from either player. We have a Mobius compound coming down from Scaphism. So what we saw last tournament from Scaphism was he tended to get his Tal'Darim Anvil out. He gets some cheap Mobius units. He gets some really cheap Mobius units with those, why can't I think of it? Why can't I think of it? And I'm blanking out. It's been a long day. The warbots that can shoot while moving, but they're very slow, and you use those to back up your devotees. Keep in mind, the devotees, when they die, can still be useful, because when they die, you get some energy on your mothership, and then you use that energy to warp in Ascendants later. Granted, you need gas to do that, but that's how that works. All right, first devotee, zooming across the map, 4.2 movement speed. Oh, dear. That's so fast. It's so incredibly fast. What is Apocalypse going to have to deal with this? He does have 1 Dragoon. That Dragoon with +1 armor, will it be able to hold off this one devotee? And honestly, the devotee, look how fast it attacks too. Oh my word, so it looks like Apocalypse is going to have to kite this around, and Scaphism actually deciding to leave. I'm actually quite surprised. I mean, the Dragoon's 384 movement speed, but there we go, the Repulsor. This is what I was expecting to see. The Repulsor does what it sounds like. It repulses units, only light units though. It can damage all units, but it does really well against light units. How much do those cost? Are those a Terrazine unit? They do cost Terrazine, and as you can see, they're very good harassment units and can get rid of this early pressure. These Blood Hunters, I'm calling them Blood Hunters, devotees, they look like Blood Hunters, can just do so much good damage early on unless you stop them with some sort of unit like the Repulsor. Apocalypse actually being supply blocked right now. Scaphism looks like he's going to follow up with some Warbots, and we're getting Gravitic Engine from Apocalypse. What even is this? Increases sentry movement speed. Interesting. Okay, using Stasis Field right there to lock this this Blood Hunter up. Keep this devotee up to lock him up, as the Repulsor is most likely to be able to get rid of this thing. And devotee goes down. So, as I've said in the past many times, if you're, but I'll repeat in case we have any new viewers, is macro mechanics are virtually non-existent in HeptaCraft. Everything's been replaced with some sort of utility or defensive tactic, some sort of defensive spell. So Kala's is this really cool stasis ground, which we saw already. I don't think it works against air units. It used to, but it's since been changed, because I believe Summerloud said he just thinks that it's just too powerful. It's just too powerful when used against mass air, but regardless, I think Mobius, they have that Orbital Strike. So Orbital Strike, it's not like what you saw from the campaign. It's literally just 1 blast, which can be really helpful, but it works better against armored, less against light, so you can't use that to just nuke like huge balls of Marines, because I think Marines have more than 40 hit points, so theoretically they'd survive. For 100 energy, it's just 1 shot, so it's not that. It's good. We've seen it. I think Scaphism used that to win the last tournament, as there was like an all-in coming at him, and he just used 1 Orbital Strike to just be like, fuck you, the game's over. And he just killed like 6 Marines in 1 strike. That was big, so it seems like that's since been changed. More repulsors, one more repulsor coming out from Apocaylpse. It looks like he's leaving this one at home, maybe to defend with, maybe expecting some sort of drop play. I'm not sure. Here goes the sentry. It seems like Guardian Shield is just permanently up, which I think is kind of neat. It's very, very small, though, as you can see, and you have to upgrade that sentry movement speed. We have fast High Templars and Khaydarin Amulet coming out from Apocaylpse. This could be what he needs against large groups of small, compact units, like devotees, like warbots. So warbots are very slow unless you get fast tracks, and I don't see fast tracks coming up from Scaphism. Instead, he's deciding to go for a Tal'Darim Mech Pit. Tal'Darim Mech Pit will allow you to make those Cerberus Harriers, which are basically vanguards from the campaign. They're better in some ways and worse in others. You can dodge their attacks. They actually shoot at the ground, and they have a minimum range. But you can upgrade them to like 12 range or something like that. It's ridiculous how good they can be, and they do huge AoE damage. See some droids out here. Well, one droid out from Scaphism. These can heal up your warbot and have a very mild attack. Who's going to move out first? With Khaydarin Amulet, we actually saw this early in the tournament. Who was it? I think it was... I don't remember. Who was using High Templars so effectively earlier in the tournament? But they just smashed through swarm units. I think it was... Oh man, I really don't remember. But either way, we saw High Templar. Their Khaydarin Amulet allows them to regenerate energy 30% faster. So we're going to see so many storms, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Granted, you know, if we have these single high-powered units like Harriers kind of standing in the back for Scaphism, then that storm is going to be as effective because units won't be as clumped. And we'll see, does he have fast tracks? He doesn't have fast tracks. I mean, if your warbots are faster, then obviously they're going to be able to avoid that storm. I think these devotees are just fodder, but that's okay because they need to die to get Ascendants eventually anyway. All right, and here we go. There's one storm going down. That's actually a really big storm. Almost killed that droid as the droid's going to try to slowly repair this stuff up. And there's the huge hits from the Harrier. The Harrier trying to stand back and avoid getting killed. And oh, the Harrier going down. We had one strike right there. And what did he actually kill with that? And this is actually close. This is really close. This is a really close fight. Worker's getting pulled off the line. The missile battery doing its best. The missile battery is actually still alive. And it's getting mass repaired. Wow, really good hold by Scaphism. That was very, very close. He lost everything. Let's check units lost right now. And Scaphism losing slightly in terms of resources units lost, but that was a really good engagement as Apocaylpse decides to skedaddle with what he has left. I'm pretty sure I saw Scaphism use that orbital strike to destroy one or two of those High Templars. So there are those defensive mechanics coming in and being really, really, really effective. And one Harrier, though, going down, those can be very, very expensive. We can kind of review their issues here. They can friendly fire, so your melee units are just totally fucked. Minimum range is obviously an issue, kind of like a siege tank, but they can move. And then attacks grounds, their attacks are dodgeable, so that's the difference. I think Apocaylpse is looking to keep the pressure on. He could just keep getting High Templar, and that Khaydarin Amulet, I think that 30% faster energy regeneration might need changed, because the amount of storms that you're going to see is just crazy. I worry for Scaphism right now. The Repulsor is trying to go in and bait out the Harrier shots. There's 2 Harriers out right now. Those maybe need to split up. And, oh my god, huge Harrier shots right now as the missile turret, or the missile battery actually doing really, really well. Kind of like a photon cannon for Mobius. And look at these warbots, actually, and the storm's trying to go down on the Harriers. One almost going down, but holding on to them. One orbital strike going down. I don't think it hit. Did it hit that sentry? I couldn't really tell. And once again, Apocaylpse getting forced away as Scaphism playing kind of scrappy. He can use his Mobius SCVs to repair the Harriers. That's really, really cool to see. No such thing as like a shield battery, though. And it looks like he's just going to try to man-fight these Dragoons. And look how much damage these do. Oh, no, the storm on top of the SCVs. He's trying to keep it alive. One more shot, and he doesn't have enough. But another Harrier finishes just in time out of the mothership to get rid of these units. But the minimum range is actually going to hurt it because the Zealots are on top of it. It looks like the Zealots, do they have charge? They do have charge. I'm going to go back to the production tab, and there's advanced ballistics coming up. Let's look and read what this does. 9 to 12 range for Harriers is crazy. So Scaphism really focusing on Harriers. I love Harriers. They're such a cool unit. I love Covenant in general because this type of things you can make is nuts. We haven't even seen a lot of the stuff that they can still do. Now, these warbots are in trouble because the Zealots are just going to cause the Harrier to shoot his own stuff. Does he have enough for an orbital strike? He doesn't. The Harrier's surrounded. He's trying to get SCVs in to repair it. One Harrier goes down before it can really do anything. We have another Harrier that's trying to complete. Zealots actually with charge. Definitely the answer to this heavy Harrier combination. And Scaphism having to skedaddle with his workers. And I think Apocalypse with the tech switch into Zealot Archon was exactly what he needed to do. I wasn't really able to keep an eye out on his base and what he was macroing towards besides the production tab, because this has just been non-stop between these two players. One orbital strike taking out a good chunk of those Zealots, really good right there, but I worry about this Archon right here. The Warbot's pecking away at it, and as these Zealots just roam free, and it looks like Scaphism trying to kite this Archon around as it goes down. More Warbots coming out, and do we have fast tracks out? Oh no, he does have fast tracks, but again, the Zealots with charge are fast enough to deal with this. It looks like Apocalypse is possibly leaving. No, Apocalypse he wants to press his advantage. He knows he's ahead right now. He's actually deciding to research Whirlwind. Scaphism going for Whirlwind on his devotees. That's a very interesting choice. Trying to get more devotees out desperately. I really worry for Scaphism now as his Mobius compound's going to go down too. Oh, big storm on the repairing SCVs, and I think that's the nail in the coffin right there. Scaphism GGing. Great game, though. Very intense. Scaphism held on for a very long time, and really it was that tech switch into charge Zealots. I think Apocalypse knew exactly what he needed to do against those Harriers. Well played, both players.